Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of identifying functions. This is standard A.12A in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 44 of the 2024 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work out this problem on your own, pause the video, and we will look at our answers together. All right, so we are going to try to find a relation here that best represents y as a function of x. What exactly does that mean? Well, we've got two different tables of values, and we've got two different graphs here. We've got a circle, or more of an oval. It looks like an absolute value function there because it's got the straight lines. And then we've got these two tables of values. Well, this is our key word. Function. If we know what this means, then we are good, and this is a fairly simple one. If not, it's probably just going to be a guess, because it's going to be very difficult to find what one of these has that the other three do not. So a function, right, is a relation or a relationship. So this is just a basic definition that we're going to need to keep in mind here. That has, now here's the key, exactly, not about, exactly one output for every input, or for each input. Now, that might seem that's kind of strange here. Well, think of what we know about these two terms, input and output, okay? So when we're thinking about our output, think about our input-output tables that we would have, right, back in elementary school. We would have our input right there. We'd have our output right there. You would end up multiplying the input by 3 or adding 7 or something like that to get your output. Well, your input is going to be represented most of the time by the x, whereas your output is going to be represented most of the time by your y. So we have this exact thing here to where each x leads to one y. There's exactly one y for each x. And so let's take a look at the B and D. Those can be easy to look at real quick. So when you have a graph, it's easy to create something that helps us use this vertical line test. We're literally going to just create a vertical line. So let's create a vertical line. And if I'm creating a vertical line here, does it cross the graph more than once? Yes. This crosses the graph here and crosses the graph here. That means for this input, right, this input, let's call this about 1.6, I actually have two different outputs. I've got a y equals maybe a 2.5 and a y equals negative 2.5. Well, that doesn't pass the test. I've got one input x and I have two output y's. Same x gets me two y's, doesn't pass the test. So that is not a function. Now let's use that same reasoning here. Can I do that here? Absolutely. I can do this all over the place. This circle has got a ton of situations in which there's one x value that leads me to two different y values. So neither of these are going to work. Now, you can also tell this from a table of values. Really, what we're doing is we're looking at the x's. So take a look right here. I actually have a repeating x. See this right here? I've got a -2 and -2. So if I were to graph this, right, I would get a -2 as a -4 and a -2 as a +4. It wouldn't pass the vertical line test. The only one that's clean is going to be our C. Because look, I've got each x is separate, and it goes to 1y right there. So as long as there's not two y's for one x, we're good. That's our answer, C.